Hello and welcome back to Tips and Time Savers. I'm Danny Rocks, and in today's lesson I'm going to demonstrate how you can take control over what your chart displays. We're going to use a combo box to take control over the data that we select to chart. Well, sometimes we need to present all of the information. In this case, in this chart, the chart is presenting to our audience all 4 quarters and all 4 divisions. Sometimes that's overwhelming. There are times when we want to take control over what our chart displays. Here I've used the combo box, and now when the manager comes in from the South Division, we can focus on the division by itself. A new manager comes in, we can focus on the results for that division. So here we have dynamically changed the data that we're actually charting. Alright, let me show you how we use the combo box to dynamically choose the data that we wish to appear in our chart. Our first step is to draw the combo box. Now, since our chart is going to roughly occupy this area, this would be a good cell for our combo box. Go to the Developer tab on the ribbon, and from the drop down of the insert, notice that there are Form Controls and ActiveX controls. We want to choose the combo box that is in the Form Controls. Now notice over here we want to draw it. So our mouse is this little black cross. Here's a tip. To have it aligned to the cell, hold down Alt as you drag it through the cell. It's perfectly aligned. Now to this point, all we've done is draw the actual control for the combo box. Our next step is to format the control. So right mouse click, come down here to format the control. Over here in the dialog box, I'm going to just move this down here a bit. For the input range will be the labels for our divisions. The cell length, and this is the important step with all of the Excel controls. The cell length I want to appear in cell F1. I'm going to be using this in a lookup formula later on in the lesson. I could put it anywhere, but since I know that I'm going to be using it as part of a formula, I want to place it up there in cell F1. Let's leave everything else in place, click OK, and now we're ready to test out our combo box. So when I click the combo box arrow, these are the 4 values. Select one, for example, East, and notice that the cell length becomes number 3. Why number 3? Because as I count down in my input range 1, 2, East is number 3. Select another region, for example South, the cell length changes to 2 because South is the second value. So we've been indexing these input values. We're now ready to use the index function, which is a lookup function in Excel, to populate the cells that we are going to chart. So let's do equal index. And notice that we have 2 possible approaches for the index function. We're going to choose the first. The first argument is the array. In this case, this is going to be our array, the data labels that we already chose for our drop-down for our combo box, comma, and for our second required argument, the row number. So when we look down at this index, which row do we want to return? In this case, the cell that we're going to select is the cell that we use as the cell link for our combo box. So what it's going to do, it's going to look in the array for a value, which in this case is going to be 2. It's going to return South. Now, since we're going to be copying this index function, this index formula, over to columns B, C, D, E, what we want to do is we want to make this part of the formula absolute. So quickly we can do that with the F4 shortcut key. Now we've locked in place as absolute cell F1. Right parentheses, Control Enter, and now we can see that if we change our combo box, for example, to north, the cell length changes and the value over here in the index function changed. Now let's copy this formula over and let's see how this works. First, let's change our combo box to west. This changes to 4. So now over here what we're doing is we're saying index the array. So here's the array, our quarter 1 sales. The row number what we see is over here it's 4. So it's going to look in this array for the value which is in the fourth record, the fourth row. 1156. Alright, just before we draw our chart, let's use the Format Paintbrush to apply formatting up here. Now we're ready to select the data that we wish to chart. So we select the data. Now I'm not selecting this cell. That was the cell link. That's important, but it's not what we want to chart. Now let's choose to insert a column chart. Let's use the 3D clustered column chart. Alright, there it is. Let's just change the dimensions and let's change its placement. Let's bring it down so that it's just underneath that combo box. Now I don't need the legend, and I could change the dimension maybe just a little bit. Before I go any further, let's make sure that this works. So let's test again our combo box. Let's choose south. The cell length changed to 2, which means that over here with our index functions, it changed the values that we're charting. So now if I wanted to choose the East Division, there you go. Because we have our cell link and we use the cell link as the row identifier in the index function. Now before we finish off, let's just apply one of the Excel styles. So in Excel 2007 Chart Tools Design, notice the gallery of chart styles. So why don't we choose this style there. So we have a really nice dynamic chart over here, and we have a dynamic way of presenting the information from the combo box. So there's a tip that I offer. It's similar to many of the tips that I offer in my series, the 50 Best Tips for Excel 2007, available online at thecompanyrocks.com. And I'll see you in the next lesson.